Casual Magic has been brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can get cool stuff. Use the code CASUAL to get 5% off of your sale. And then also by Coalesce Apparel, where you can get really cool t-shirts and stuff, and use the code CASUALMAGIC to get 10% off your sale. And by Archidekt, a deck hosting website that doesn't really sell anything, but they like me and I like them, so kindly use them. And now, on to the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivan Butt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Cool Stuff Inc., Archidekt, and Coalesce Apparel. At the end of my last episode or the episode before this, I had my dear friend Wheeler on, and we were like, hey, you know what? We should actually hold off on doing a Neo Kamigawa review until after the set comes out. Well, today is, as of recording, the first day the set is out on Magic Arena, and both Wheeler and I spent a not insignificant amount of time jamming games. And so I think we have quite enough of a feel for the set that I thought it would be a great time while it's still fresh and fun in our head to talk about this brand new set. And it's so cool.
Yeah, no NDAs getting broken.
We
got some reps under the belt, finally.
Yeah, the last time was right before the PPR, so you couldn't even tell me anything.
Yep.
This time, though, we have the whole set at our hands, and we've played a whole bunch of hands. I understand Voltron has been troned up. I've gotten the Sisters Yamazaki. It's been a good time.
Yeah, I did 3 drafts over today. About 6 hours of playing or whatever. There's a lot going on. I'm sure we'll talk about that. I have a lot of thoughts.
Dude, this set is my initial overall thought of this set, just before we get into the nitty-gritty. My first thought is they did an incredible job of making all of these mechanics, of which there are a lot of mechanics. They did a really, really good job of weaving them together in a way that works. It all feels organic. It all feels like it fits together, no matter how you jigger the puzzle together.
Yeah.
It all feels like these pieces go together. And I was when I was reading the site, reading the previews and looking at the cards, I was really confused about how they would do the whole artifact and enchantment, artifact or enchantment, ninjutsu things. But it turns out it is way easier than it thought, and it's seamless. And I'm like, dude. And also, because it's day one of Sealed, I don't know what I'm doing, and I've gotten shellacked quite a lot, but I'm also winning a lot. And this set is hella fun. Both Innistrad sets were neat, but Kamigawa is fun.
There's something when it comes to mostly limited. I guess it pops up with Constructed too, and Commander, but mostly limited. Draft and Cube are the big ones, where if you are in a draft and it's still relatively new or fresh, and under 5 drafts or whatever. Sure. And you run into someone playing a deck or an archetype that you have not played. And you either get your ass kicked by it, or you are the one doing the kicking. It could just be a stomp either way, but you still leave that fight going, I want to do that, right? You're like, oh, I want to draft that deck. I want to play that deck. Because it's this, but you're still enjoying what you're doing and you're still in the thick of your current draft. But it's just when a format is good and enjoyable, at least, let's go with enjoyable. I do think it's good, but also, I don't know if all of a sudden Twitter thinks it's the worst limited format of all time.
I mean, it's day one, right?
It's day one. So
this set is both the best set that they've ever made and the worst set that they've ever made.
Yeah, my favorite thing about being, and I got to experience this just as a Magic player existing in the world, but especially for streaming, is I'm very much I like taking my time. I'm deliberate. I sit and I cook, right? I
Mm.
like to think things through and I don't like to jump to conclusions, which is a bad thing, bad quality to have when you're a streamer. I should be making like
You should be the hot
massive
take engine right
sweeping
now, man.
declarations. Yeah, I should be putting my whole just like my whole self out there and just lying through my teeth or just speaking unspeakable truths. And but I don't do that. Instead, I like to cook a little bit. But I because you're streaming, you get people coming in like speaking in the most absolutes. And it's like it's hour 2 of the format.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like, come on, dog. We've seen the card for like 20 minutes.
yeah, people are
We
like, this is the best deck in the format. It's unbeatable. This is a fast format. It's like, what? No.
It's a fast
Information.
format because you drafted a bunch of true drops,
Yeah, and like, information does travel a lot quicker now, but
but
things
not that quick.
change over
Not that
time.
quick.
There are more, there are meta games when it comes to drafting as well. And like what people draft at silver is different from what people draft at top
Hell yeah,
500
it
mythic
is.
or whatever, right? So like,
Look, man, you can take Frank Carson's advice all day long, but you have to understand that Frank Carson is talking to people who are playing at the Pro Tour. And he's not talking to you and I, who are going to be sitting here at the low tiers of drafting, because all of his advice is built around metas that we are never going to see.
you
Right?
and I, Shiva. Whoa,
Not you,
whoa,
Wheeler.
whoa.
You and
Oh,
I, the listener.
okay. Oh, whew. I was going to say, I mean, look, I don't get too huffed up about numbers anymore. I'm not about that life, but I get a lot of spite mythic. Love me a good spite mythic.
Look, you are a significantly better drafter than I am, but you also play significantly more than I do because I don't. I play like twice or thrice a week, depending on the format. Like,
A good limited game is 15 minutes,
oh,
and
dude,
if
I played so much limited during Call Time and Strixhaven,
Hmm,
and then I played a whole ton during Forgotten Realms, and then the two Innistrad sets were just dry for me. I was like, after a week or two, I was like, I'm bored of this, and it sucks. Um, Basically, the only thing Crimson Vow even had for me was I liked the sound of the blood tokens cracking, like the little jingle that happens.
uh-huh.
But anyway, so I did 3 sealeds today.
Mhm.
Um or 2 sealeds, and I just played a lot of games.
Yeah.
But it's a really wild set because when I was trying to do deck building, sealed is like one of my favorite ways to play because I like having just the puzzle of here's 45 cards, figure it out.
Yeah.
Um It is like there's some sealed formats where it's like a bad sealed format, right? Like all the cards are all over the place. If you don't have rares, you're just out of luck, or like you're not on tribal synergies or whatever. But
Mhm.
in this one, like so far, both of mine have been very heavy red, and red is very like samurai and artifact. Red's like kind of weirdly undefined in this set. It feels like.
Oh, well,
I
this
mean,
is
I
the
know it's
beauty
meant.
of this set,
Yeah.
is that the red is, a lot more deceptive when it comes to what it cares about, because, like, there's obviously the heavy artifact theme that we
Mm,
see, um, but also what like, a lot of the artifacts that we have,
mm.
there's equipment. They're the
Yes,
reconfigure cards. And so
dude.
if you load a
Energizer
lot,
Bunny is so good.
yeah, yeah, get rid of that immediately. God, that card is going to run
That
away with
card
the
is
game.
bananagrams. Rabbit, you're gonna see a whole lot of rabbits in this format. Let me tell you,
Rabbit battery, baby.
that thing is nutso.
But Shiva, if I load up a whole bunch of equipment on a single creature, it's big, right?
Mm,
And I'm attacking with one creature, right?
mm,
Which also has some keywords or added effects
mm,
because of my samurai.
mm.
So having my samurai load up with this equipment, going tall instead of kind of, well, you do go a bit wide,
Yeah.
but you can go wide because you just get to trade in these attacks where you attack with a big
Mm-hmm.
thing in your equipment and then one of your artifact tokens, like that 3 mana 1/1 that makes another 1/1, just
Oh,
gets to
that thing
chump
is
block for a
so
couple of
good.
turns. Yeah. So I think red is one of those, I agree with you, where it's like not very upfront, but in
Dude,
playing it,
red
it
is so tricksy, man. Like, so my pool had Ryu in it. So Ryu is
Mhm.
obviously lead me to Boros Town, right? Extra attacks. And first off, What I learned is you only need to do the solo attack with Ryu the first one, because
Mhm.
then the second one, you're not getting another attack. So you just go in with the team, and that is bananas.
Yeah.
But like, so I had this guy, and I had like a whole passel of all of these samurai like enablers that are like, when you attack with the samurai, tap down their blocker and
Mhm.
do all the things. And there are also all these cards that are like, hey, if you have an enchantment to play, do bananas things, right? And I'm the red weird like red has so many weird random enchantments that are really surprisingly cool. Like crackling emergence, the one that turns your thing into a 3/3,
Oh,
your
the
land into a 3/3.
Genju. Yeah.
Or friggin' Goshintai. Oh my god. Goshintai is a house of the ancient wars. The
Mhm.
one that does damage to them
Just
at the end of
domes
the turn.
out players.
Oh
Yeah.
god, man. I love red in this set. I love red in this set, and I didn't think I would.
I only got one red deck in today across my 3 drafts, but it's the color that I want to explore more. Like I wanna get tricky with it, you
Can I tell
know?
you the coolest thing I did today?
Oh,
Well,
please.
not the coolest thing, but one of the coolest things.
Okay.
So I had reinforced Ronin, which is
Mhm.
our one drop 2/2 that's got haste and bounce it back to your hand at the end of turn.
Mhm.
So I go in, I drop him, I swing in, and opponent's got a bunch of blockers, and they're like, "Oh, it's a 2/2." They take it. You know what
Mhm.
I do?
What do you
Turns
do?
out that dude is a phenomenal vehicle for ninjutsu.
Yeah.
and and I just go in and I swap in that 5/5 ogre, and it's just like, "Oh, I'm dead now."
Oh,
And I'm like, "Oh, you're dead now."
yeah, the
"Oh, you had like 12 blockers and you took it and died."
y yeah. Yeah, that's I feel like there's a lot of that. I won a couple of my matches just by I mean, this is just also normal limited, but especially here where like the amount of times today I said like, well, if they don't block what properly, I win. And then they didn't
Whoops,
block
they
properly and
didn't
it's like,
block
oh,
properly.
all right, time to onboard trick.
So, yeah, my first set was, Boros and my second was Rakdos, and
Mm,
thus far, like, I like them both, but I think I like the black better because my my removal is just better and there's more
yeah.
interesting trickies. But you know what? The 2 Yamazakis are absolutely bananas. Like, the fact that so their trigger is when you attack with a samurai or warrior alone, you can cast an enchantment from your graveyard or an artifact from your graveyard, depending on which one of the 2 you have.
Mhm.
And I've been able to use this to do things like get Intercessor's Arrest back, which is the arrest of
Yeah.
this set, or like getting back a Saga or getting back, Go Shintai. And
Mhm.
then the other one, you know how awesome it is to have that stupid samurai egg, the experimental synthesizer, crack it and then recast it that turn because you attacked with a
Yep.
samurai?
Yep.
Oh,
Mhm.
it's gross. It's
I
so
do I
gross.
do know that. I got to play eggs in Kamigawa Limited.
Isn't
That
it gross?
that's everything I've ever wanted. It just it's
It's
it was
so
so
good.
wild. Um, yeah, big fan
Yeah,
of Egg and the
egg.
Samurai.
Dude, but the card that really surprised me that I'm now gonna be running basically every time I can is Clawing Torment. Did you see this one? It's the
Uh,
black
that's the
common
hands.
enchantment. Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
hands around the face thing.
yeah.
This is basically as long as enchanted permanent is a creature, it gets neg 1 and can't block. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life, right? To the person who's enchanted. First off, this is great for just removing random crap, but
Mhm.
also turns out not being able to block really, really sucks sometimes, especially when you
Yeah.
drop it on their defender or on their like giant, robot guy or whatever.
Mhm.
And that 1 life adds up, especially when you have 2 or 3 of these in play.
It's a baby
And
stab wound.
oh god, I thought it was gonna be just like a trash card, but it turns out that thing is that and the other one I got that surprised me out of nowhere was Chain Flail Centipede. 2/2 that
Oh,
gets +2/+0 until I had to
yeah.
turn equipment. That thing hits like a truck.
Tax for 4. Wow.
It's gross. I love it. I love it.
It's got a
But
cheap,
I've taught
reconfigure too.
yeah, it's
Only
really
2.
good to reconfigure. You know what's really fun? If you take that and you put a rabbit on it. and then you got a three
Mm.
three who's attacking like a 5/3 with haste, and
Beep
then
beep.
oh man, dude, I love this. And my mythics were like I had the dragon Atsushi, who is
Yeah.
just like I never used it for the card draw, but I always got the treasures because then I could cast another thing that turn. It turns
Mhm.
out casting cards real good, real good.
Yeah, getting to play spells after getting to play large and ideally relevant spells after they've killed your giant dragon is usually a good thing. You know, they're like, great, got rid of the dragon, don't have to worry about anything.
Yep.
And
Just a
nope,
second. Oops,
nope.
did I say that? Oh, and don't sleep on the Boros uncommon Asari captain, the guy who exalted +1/+1 over each
Hmm.
samurai you control. It turns out there's a lot of incidental samurai, and you're just going
Yeah.
to be clocking in.
Yeah. That's a card that I saw quite a bit and didn't take. Just it wasn't in it was like the kind of card that if I had been drafting this format for like a week, I
Mm,
would be I would see it and be like, "Oh, this came too late," and like immediately pivot and
mm.
like say goodbye to this other color that I've picked a rare in or whatever, and then pick up, a couple of them. Um but I didn't have the courage to go that deep yet. That's okay. It's all, new
It's day
format.
one, baby.
Day one. No time
Oh,
for absolutes,
and
you
the
know?
secret combo of all, if you have red Yamazaki,
Mhm.
and you have Ninja's Kunai,
Yeah.
the 1 mana tap sack it lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Turns out you can recast that after you sack it. Real good.
Yeah.
But this is the last card because I want you to tell me about your drafts. Is
Okay.
Reckoner Bankbuster?
Oh,
Oh my
that's the
god!
mythic, right?
No, this is the rare vehicle 4/4. It's got 3 counters on it, and 2 and tap. Remove a counter to draw a card. When it's got no counters on it, you make a treasure and a 1/1 pilot.
Okay.
This thing
This is
costs
what
2 and is amazing.
this is the card I thought. I thought it was a mythic.
Yeah, you would
I
think it's
knew
a
what this
mythic
was.
because it's absurd. It is
Wow.
absolutely holy crap, is this card nuts? Like, the only downside is got a crew of 3, which is expensive, but
Mhm.
who cares? You're tapping it to draw cards anyways.
Yeah.
The thing is amazing. It's an absolute house.
Wow.
Um, I love
Big
this format. I
big
love this so
vehicle.
much. I'm having so much fun right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I have, honestly, like, I after 6 hours, I could have gone for another 6. Like,
Right?
it wasn't I had to be responsible. I had this to I had a promise with you to keep, and I have other work I need to do, but I was just like, I could just do one more. It's not that bad, but nope. Gonna save it for tomorrow. There's plenty of time to play this.
Yeah, this format's not going anywhere, and I think it's gonna be
Yeah,
a good one, man.
I feel like I'm going to really enjoy it.
This
Like,
one feels like it's got legs to me.
yeah, I mean, I love really bad formats at times too. Like, who was it? I don't know if I want to throw any particular WotC employee under the bus, but uh, a WotC employee once said that it sounded like I enjoyed drafting formats that are more about the experience than the uh technical, like, than parts of the technical gameplay, and
Hmm.
not in the sense of like I don't like formats that aren't complicated or whatever it may be, but I like it when a format has a very unique, you know
Mm.
tone to it,
Yes.
or settings. Like, if I'm just playing, I don't know, there's some draft formats that people love to bits, like Dominaria. I really
I love
I
Dominaria.
don't care about Dominaria
Oh.
at all. And I think I know why. It's because when I'm playing Dominaria, I just think that I'm playing a not good cube. Like, and it's not like it feels like cube. It's just like I could be playing cube. And I think I
Because
would
it's
get a
very
lot
on
of,
rails. But
yeah.
god, the green black Dominaria Saprolings deck is one of my favorite limited decks of all time. Like, I love that deck. I played so much of that deck. But I will grant you that Dominaria can get a little old. I
Mhm.
mean, I'm not going to, it's one of my favorite draft sets of all time, but I can understand that. But
So
I love synergy. I
So
love
what
it.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
and that's what I'm saying is that, like, if this format like, people can poo-poo this format in, like, 2 weeks. They're like, "Oh, it's too complicated. I died to, I don't know, insert uncommon here," or whatever. But, like, I feel like I'm gonna
Died to a
groove
saga.
to this. Yeah, well, I hey, you wanna hear about people dying to sagas?
Dude,
Um,
the long reach of night has been like a hammer for me.
yeah,
That's the one that makes you sack a creature or discard a card.
mhm.
And then you get the dude who's like menace attacks were plus X plus O, where it's the number of creatures in your graveyard in defending graveyard.
Yeah, got
That
rid of that
card
immediately.
clocks people.
Yep. I had it hit the table and I was just like, no, fade to antiquity. I won't develop anything.
Yeah, we're not
I
gonna have a
will,
conversation about
yeah.
this. That's going away.
Yeah. I'll 2-for-1 myself. That's okay. I understand. I don't want this to happen. Good night. Like it was
Oh,
just immediately like
dude,
no, not doing this.
I had the best feeling today. I mean, many, many times I had the best feeling today, but there's this one red spell called Seismic Wave,
Oh yeah.
which is does 2 damage to any target and then 1 damage to each non-artifact creature target opponent controls. Now, mind you, commander players, this means I can zap Jimmy's like creature and then hit Johnny's and nail his entire board of tokens.
Mhm.
It doesn't say it has to be the same person. And so, but you know what? They had like a 2-1 in play that was just really like jamming me, or 3-1. And then they
Mhm.
put out that the reinforced Ronin. So it's a 2-2. And I'm like, oh, is it going to happen? And I
Ooh.
got to do it. And I 2-for-1 them with this thing. And I got a nice, and it was a good time.
Yeah. Got blown out by that.
It's a clean.
Didn't know
It's a
that card
clean
existed.
win. Neither did I. And I was like, oh, it's direct damage. Okay, I'll just put it in. Oh my God, it does what?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Um,
so gross.
so So the first I did 3 drafts and I haven't full spoiler alert. I haven't drafted on this account on my arena account in like several months. And so I've kind of my account like stagnated down to
Bronze.
silver or bronze. And uh it's new day, new cards, everything's confusing. But wow, did I ever stomp people with sagas. Like the first draft was green white sagas, effectively. Green white, like enchantment creatures and sagas. There was so much disrespect for the 1 mana 1/1 death touch that's an enchantment
Dude, that
creature.
card is a kill on sight for me,
Yep.
man.
Yep. Got 3 of those bad boys very early. I was green white. I got 2 Portraits of Michiko, which is the saga
Oh,
that
that's
like
real good.
buffs equal to artifacts and enchantments and then flips into something with P&T artifacts and enchantments. I got a couple. I really actually like Befriending the Moths. It was a 4 mana one that gives +1/+1 in flying
Yeah,
on chapter 1 and 2, and then turns into a 2/4 with flying.
that was the one that I was on the fence about. I couldn't decide if it was worth the cut.
So free +1/+1 in flying was like obviously 4 mana, a lot to do right away. But I figured I clogged the board. I wanted density, and like if I could get like my Portrait of Michiko into the air,
Mm,
or I had some number of there's like a 3/2 enchantment creature that you can pay 6 to put a 1/1 counter on an enchantment creature and give it trample until end of turn, I think. And so I was just like, I need density, and if I can get one of these bad boys up in the air, I'm probably killing people. And like the free flight, like the free untap, my mana's
mm.
available, launch this into the air, killed so many people. And then the flip, just like that's a huge butt on a flyer.
Dude,
Like especially when
2/4 is
compared
no
to what a
joke in
lot
this.
of the format is
Oh,
from what
yeah,
I've
you're talking about
seen.
Bearer of Memory was the
Yeah.
3/2, would that give you the
Yeah.
counter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
card.
so I just killed people dead. Like it was,
Yeah, toughness is a big deal in this format, man.
I don't think I had a game. This was all best of one in the like the premier drafts or whatever, but I don't think I had a single game that felt close.
You know what
Um,
card is an absolute house? Banishing Slash.
yeah, lost to that. That felt
Nuke
bad.
an artifact, an enchantment, or a tapped creature, and then if you control an artifact and enchantment, make a 2/2 samurai. Ooh, tell me about it, dude. This thing is like it's a knight that comes in and smashes. It's great.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like my last draft was the only spoiler alert. My last draft was the only one I didn't get 7 wins. I only got 6. I'm sorry if everybody turned off all their podcasts after hearing that.
Oh,
But it's
dude.
because I got destroyed by cards like Banishing Strike or Vanishing Slash.
You know
Yeah.
what saga worked for me? Fall of Lord Konda. Exile target creature opponent controlled with mana value greater than
Mm,
4 and then some
yep.
other crap, and then
Yep.
draw a card. It turns out, by the way, if you flip a saga, it's
Mhm.
still the casting cost of the backside,
Yeah.
which means you can still like blow out summon saga,
Oh yeah.
which is gross.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
and did you see Lucky Cat or whatever the hell that card is?
Lucky
Lucky
Cat.
Offering.
Oh, the 1 mana. It's like a disenchant
Yeah,
that
it's like
gains
it's
life.
a 1 mana sorcery, destroy target artifact with mana value 3 or less. Somebody went and got their Tamio up to completion, blew her up
Mm.
to get her tablet, and then next turn I'm like, lucky offering your tablet, and they're like, oh.
I had someone Tameo me.
Dude, Tamio sucks. She blows me out. And by sucks, I mean, I don't mean she's low powered. I mean, she ruins my life.
Oh. Well, maybe next time I have someone play it, I shouldn't crab it into oblivion then. Because Tameo caved down and I gave it the claws. I was just like, okay, crab, bye. But that was the second draft.
Wait, which crab? A mirror shelled crab?
The war, yeah, it's like a 5-drop, 7-drop, 5/7 ward 3, the artifact crab,
And
and
it's
then
got
it has
channel.
channel for 2 and a blue, counter a spell or ability unless they pay 3.
So
I just
you like
needed top end, but they just played it. I'm like, okay, counter your Tameo. It was just a counter spell, but I had this crab sitting around. That was in my
Smash.
second deck. That was blue white vehicles, and it was disgusting. It felt like it felt like it was like a pre-built deck on Arena.
Aha.
Like it felt like Arena was like, hey, welcome to NTG Arena. Let's get you started with some Kamigawa decks. Here's a blue white vehicles deck. Like I had like the audacity of me having 2 copies of the blue white uncommon vehicle
Oh,
that
that thing is nutso.
yeah, I had 2 copies of that. Had an
Prodigy's prototype?
opportunity. Yes, yeah. So it's 1 blue and a white for a 3/4. Has crew 2. It's a vehicle, and it says whenever a vehicle you control,
One or more
um,
vehicles attack, you get a 1/1 pilot.
yeah, that can crew the big ones. And so I had 2 of those, and I had a chance for a third. But I'm like, watch this, I can wheel this. Didn't wheel it, but didn't need it. Um, I had Voltron, the Mecha Titan core. That was my pack 1 pick 1.
Oh my god.
And I was just like, it was probably not the right call. I don't know.
Well, it's
Like
day one.
again,
It is the right call for
it
day
was
one.
that's exactly what I mean. I have a rule for new formats where it's like, let me try to draft it legitimately once, and then I will chimp out. I will do whatever chat wants. I will do whatever seems the funniest. And I was like, yeah, all right, let's Voltron. And so game 1, playing this, my opponent on turn 2 goes Mecha Titan core. So they play Voltron, and I go, hello, and they go, hello, and then I untap, play my Mecha Titan core, and then they're like, wow. It was just, yeah.
I've seen this anime before.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my Voltron came together. They had it in like a ninjas deck, which was actually pretty sick. But I formed Voltron,
Dude.
relatively quickly,
Okay,
honestly.
so for those of you at home, Mech Titan Core. Oh my god. 2/4 for 2. It doesn't matter. Because the real power is 5. Exile Mech Titan Core and 4 other artifact creatures or vehicles you control. Create Mech Titan, a legendary 10/10 construct artifact creature with flying, vigilance, trample, lifelink, and haste that is all 5 colors. When it leaves the battlefield, you get all of the pieces back except for the core. That card is if you can get all your powers combined to get Captain Planet to show up, you win.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
win. It's a 10/10 with everything. It's
Yeah.
it's look, if you can put Cauldron together, you deserve to win with Cauldron. If you put Voltron together, you deserve to win with Voltron.
Yeah, I did it twice over the drafts.
You know what my favorite though, and this is one where I felt bad. They played Voltron. They got Voltron.
Oh.
I flashed in high speed hover bike. High-speed hover bike says when it enters the battlefield, tap up to one target creature. Tap up to
Oh my
one.
god.
I would have lost if they had left all 5
Damn.
alone.
You hit him with that little kid magic.
It's like if Voltron gets up, stands up, and somebody ties its shoelaces together, takes one step
Yeah.
forward and goes patang.
Yeah. Voltron walked out of the house, went, today's the day. And then a kid on a BMX just ran over its foot and was like, get out of the
Just
way,
like
grandpa.
slipped on a banana peel.
Yeah. Yeah.
GG.
Oh no. Oh, drew something out of my back. Gotta go back inside.
They basically they didn't shame Scoop, but they
Mhm.
definitely were just like, fine.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Fair dinkum. And go back in. So yeah, that got 7 wins, not even close.
Mhm.
And then the last one was I played Blue Red Eggs, which I had, I think, 2 of the red egg that makes
That
a
card
samurai.
is I underestimated the hell out of that card.
It's good. I had 2 of the spring leaf drum that also lets you tap artifacts, but
Isn't that
then
like the
also lets you
blue
channel. Yeah.
Moonfolk
I
something?
I didn't know until today that you could tap a creature as
Moon
well. I
Snare
just
prototype.
There you go. I thought you could only tap artifacts, and I was like, "Oh, this might be kind of cool."
Yeah,
And then
because or creatures on the second line, so you easily
yeah,
miss it, and then you're
yeah,
like,
didn't know about that one, but
"Oh, what?"
wow, was it good? Wow, was it good? And I had like the Sekenzen Smelter. It's like a goblin that at combat you can pay 1, sack an artifact to make a 3/1
I had
artifact
that
with
card.
haste.
I had that card, but it didn't. I don't think I was playing enough artifacts to make it work in my red decks because
Yeah.
it was definitely just like an annoying trigger more than like actually happening.
Okay. Yeah, this deck I had, I think, like maybe 6 non-artifact cards. Because when that smelter cracked the Kinder Egg, a toy was inside. And that toy hit them for 3. That one only got 6 wins. I fought someone with the same deck, but they had 2 copies of Oni Cult Anvil, which is a card that is on my
Oh,
list of drafted as quickly as possible. It's like a black and a red artifact, and then you can it says whenever 1 or more artifacts you control leave the battlefield during your turn, you make a 1/1 construct artifact token, and it only happens once each turn. um but like, it says leave play, so if you have a ninja and you
love it.
return an artifact, you
Hmm.
get a thing. But importantly, it also just has tap, sack an artifact, deals 1 damage to each opponent, you gain 1 life. So they had 2 copies of that going. I don't think they did anything except for tap these anvils that I just died. I went from 20 to
Dude,
0 with these.
that card, that card's going to show up in a lot of formats.
Yeah.
I think everybody's like, oh, it just says once a turn and it's sorcery speed and your turn and all these other things. I'm like, if they're putting this many limiters on it, think about how busted this card was in
Yeah.
playtest. Because,
Hidden
like,
What about a hidden stockpile, right? Like,
yeah, it's like Hidden Stockpile is fantastic. I would run Hidden Stockpile all the time.
mhm.
This card letting you sacrifice, even if you don't get the 1/1 construct, sacking to do damage
Yeah.
is amazing. And
What
it's
if
each opponent.
what if hidden stockpile, instead of the modes being make a thing that can kill you and then, scry to find good stuff, is make a thing that can kill you and then also just kill you more but
Yeah,
keep
and then
you
just kill you.
alive. Like, yeah, it's and then oh god,
The
yeah.
card's nutso.
Yeah. That's on my short list of draft this.
Oh yeah,
Get
dude.
this card.
I think Rakdos is gonna be a house in this. But really all of the combinations look so good.
Yeah.
All of them
Yeah.
look good.
They We kind of talked about it in the last time. Like, I mean, I went on a little like push up glasses talk about like decayed zombies and ninjutsu,
Mhm.
or like day and night, and how they give you all these different ways to get something out of your
Mhm.
board but not play a spell. But I think to like kind of add on to that, because admittedly, like, it is a wordy set
Oh,
for
dude,
sure,
it's
but I think it's really intuitive,
yeah,
like from
that's
a
the thing.
newer player point of view as well.
I was actually just thinking about that as well because, like, we all saw Carson's analysis where it's like, this is the wordiest set they've ever written. And
Mhm,
yes, there are a lot of words on these cards, and they're all
mhm.
sagas and whatever. They write paragraphs on every page. However, when you compare these to some of the other sets, like the last two Innistrads or whatever,
Mhm.
all of these cards make sense. Like, I get it. When Coiling Stalker deals combat damage, you put a 1/1 target counter on target creature you control that doesn't have a 1/1 on it. That's a lot of
Mhm.
words, but you know what it means.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing is that like even if you take away the like the fact that so many of these are double faced cards, is that um all of the most wordy sets in the game are basically from the past year,
Mm,
which is not a great trend,
no.
definitely. But with this, so much real estate is taken up with um, every card with channel having to say discard a card and then, the cost.
Or like the fact that ninjutsu takes up half the text box.
Yep. Or artifact and enchantment, or artifact or enchantment, control and artifact and control and enchantment. Like all these things
Yes.
that are, or reconfigure, basically things that conversationally they make sense almost immediately, or at least like you look at it, you're like, oh, I get it. And then if you don't entirely get it, you're like, oh, okay, cool. Right. It's just like it's intuitive.
Mm,
It's something that as you play, you will be able to pick it up and shorthand it. And that kind of shorthanding isn't just limited to people that are enfranchised or have been playing a long time. Like, if anything, the people that show up and play, F&M once a month or just show up to the pre-releases and that's all they play. These are the people that also like will explain cards to their friends, not with every all the technical aspects, right? They're
mhm.
not the ones that want all the ruling on like how do equipment actually work? What happens if you have an equipped creature and they gain control of that? Like all that. They're the ones that are asking the questions of like, what does this do? They're like, oh, it becomes an equipment and it gives the stats to that. Oh, okay, cool. Right?
Yes.
Like that's very easy for someone to learn. Or looking at vehicles and like the pilots, right? All the cards that say like they can crew a thing as though they have 2 power or more. And like a new player looks at that and they're like, oh, the pilot can crew a vehicle.
Mm.
Like that's it. They
Yeah,
get
right?
it.
Like, it just it says it and you get it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, makes sense.
Yeah. And so all of that works like smooth as butter and
Mm,
has so much crossover too. Like again, uh recognizing the red cards where it's like, what's the theme of red? It's like, well, you dip into the themes of white, but you can also dip into the themes of blue. And then here's this black red card that reinforces all of this. Or here's green red traditional beatdown, where also your creatures are equipment. Enjoy. Like everything just, it's so
clean.
natural.
It's so
Yeah.
clean.
Hmm.
Can we talk about black for a second?
Yeah.
Assassins Inc.
Yeah.
Assassins Inc., which sounds like a company or
Yeah.
like a new Ubisoft game.
Hmm.
The removal spell, destroy target creature enchantment for 2 black black, or a discount if you got an artifact, or a discount if you got an enchantment. Uh, Let me tell you, it feels good to play Terror again.
Mm.
This card has come out for 2 black mana for me every single time, because it turns out black is really, really good about enchantments and
Hmm.
artifacts. And I was really worried when I was reading. They're like, yeah, green and white go enchantments, red and blue go artifacts, and black sits in the middle. And I'm like, how is that going to work? Turns out really, really easily.
Yeah.
Like, that removal spell, the kami of horseshoe crab, whatever, terrible secrets.
Oh
That one,
yeah.
oh my god, I love this card.
The Mark
4 mana,
Zug.
3/4. Who's like, if you've got an enchantment, you get a card and a life.
Mhm.
Triggers every time.
Yeah, love it,
Oh god, that
love
card
it.
is so good.
I I had a moment, not to I do wanna talk about black because it's the only color I didn't get to draft today, and it's the color that which I did first pick. It's funny you mentioned Assassin's Ink. I first picked that card in 2 of my drafts. I was back when pick one in my first draft and my third draft, and I ended up being like, "Nah, I gotta go into these other colors." But I just want to share because you mentioned, I think when I think of that card, the Kami of Terrible Secrets,
Mm,
that card reminds me so much of OG Kamigawa.
mm,
And in the green white saga deck I was playing a card called Geothermal Kami, which is it's 3 and a green for a 4/3. And
mhm.
when it comes into play, you can return an enchantment to your hand.
Oh
And if you
god, that
do,
card's
you
gonna be a
gain
house.
3 life.
Yes.
And multiple times I just played it as a 4 mana 4/3
Mhm.
when like it just did the job. Like I had 2 games where I played this 4 mana 4/3
Mm.
and it just killed people. Like
Yeah.
I just attacked with this vanilla creature. And
Sometimes just turning sideways wins a game.
somebody was like in chat, I was just like, now this just feels like original Kamigawa as well. To hell with being wordy. I'm just turning a vanilla beater sideways. And
Mhm.
there is this card in OG Kamigawa. It's called Order of the Sacred Bell. And it's just a 4 mana 4/3 in green. It's like, yeah, all right, back to beginnings.
Hey, baby, you know what?
If it ain't
Sometimes
broke,
if it does the job, it does the job, right? Like,
yeah, there's no such thing as a bad threat.
I mean, I had Scrap Welder, the 3/3 that's got like a brick of text on it that
Oh yeah.
but I never once used it for like sacking the artifact reanimator nonsense. I
Mhm.
just use it because a 3/3 for 3 is good.
Yeah.
It's
That hit
good. It's
that
good
hits
beats.
hard.
Yeah, it turns out 3 power is a really important threshold in this set,
Mhm.
and it does a ton of damage. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know, God, I love this set. I'm really, really enjoying this. I
Yeah.
was on the fence a lot, but wow, the cards are really playing out really well.
I had a couple of opponents. This was the classic, like, oh, I want to do that. Where I had some opponents play Okiba Reckoner Raid, the like saga that turns into the Akira reference.
Right,
You know the
the
one?
bike one.
Yeah. And I had someone play 2 of those in a match against me. And I'm just looking at this being like, wow, this sucks. like I ended up, pulling ahead because my things were a little bigger and they kind of just played into some stuff that I don't know if, if a week from now they would play into, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just like doing this I'm like, wow. Yeah, I want to burn rubber. Like I want to play like a black deck that goes very fast.
So Okiba Reckoner Raid is a 1-drop saga. Each opponent loses a life and you gain a life for the first 2 chapters. And then it flips into Nezumiya Road Captain, a 2/2 that has menace, and all your vehicles have menace. And
Yeah.
I can immediately see how that's going to be a problem,
Mhm.
especially if you've got like the bank robber guy or the any of these or the hover bikes. Oh my god!
Any of the vehicles really. Like there was a 3 mana 4/3 vehicle that crewed for 1 and I looked at it and I kind of thought like, this is just the I don't want to call it bad, but I will. Oh, and it has vigilance. Actually,
Mm,
this isn't the bad one. But you look at it and you're like, "Oh, this is just a this is a vehicle for everyone, you know?
sure.
It's colorless, its crew is low, it's
Oh,
technically
is that the
offensive
7
but also
mana cost one?
defensive. No, this is just a 3 mana one. It's 3 mana 4/3. It's got vigilance and crew 1. It's called Brute Suit. And I just like I
Root
played
suit
that
riot,
today
riot.
uh or I drafted it rather. I didn't end up playing it, but I was just like, this bread and butter vehicle, I could see it not being the worst. Like there's
It's
enough
got
going
vigilance.
on. Mhm. Yeah, they
And you know what, dude, the flavor text, it completely backs you up, man. It says, "Send them a message they can't ignore."
oh,
Turns
that's
out
good.
4/3. The 4/3 just comes in and says hello, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Well, I need to deal with you right
Yeah,
now."
you will die to this. You need to pay attention.
Yeah, you will. Okay, so did you play blue?
Yeah.
So
I played 2 blue decks.
so tell me about blue because I didn't get much. I didn't play any blue, and I didn't play against any blues. So how's that working out?
Um well, I am after all a filthy blue mage. And like I loved everything about everything about the trickery involved
Mm.
in blue. So I am at my core a filthy blue mage, and I love a good artifact, and I like the utility. Like it's just they really did blue it away in this set, at least that from what I've played so far. That everything felt good. Like the commons all felt pretty
Mm.
good. And even some of the commons I didn't play against were kind of a problem at times. Like, when I played the blue white vehicles deck, I had a lot of ninjas as well. I had two
Mm,
copies of there's a ninja that's also an enchantment creature, the Moon Circuit Hacker. It's got ninjutsu for a blue, and it's a 2/1 for 2 normally. But when it deals combat damage to a player, you can draw a card, and if you do, you
sure.
discard a card unless it entered the battlefield that turn. So the first turn you get a card, and then every other time it loots if it hits. But importantly, when I played it, it hit for 2, drew me a card, typically returned the dog that just draws you more cards, like the spirited companion, the cute little
Sure.
elvish visionary.
Yes.
And then it had enough power to crew like any vehicle if I couldn't get through.
Mm,
So that felt buttery smooth. The We already talked about the crab, that was pretty all right. The Moonfolk Puzzle Maker, which is the Moonfolk Wizard. It's 3 mana 1/4 artifact creature with flying, and when it becomes tapped, you scry 1.
mm.
Um, it has enough of a booty that it wasn't dying to much, but also just like great with the Moon Snare prototype, so I could add a mana with it and then get in a
Oh, that's
scry, but
cute.
they also don't get
That's
to
cute.
attack me, and I can chip damage. Or sorry, I can chip in with some more damage. Um God. What else was a cool comment from there? Like
You know
the
what I
mo-
got? Like the one thing that did almost get me was the replication specialist, which is the 3/4 flyer that when a non-token artifact enters, you can pay 1 and a blue to create a token that's a copy of that artifact.
yeah.
That card can get way out of control because like you're like, oh, whatever, it copies. Well, yeah, when it starts
Mhm.
copying gigantic mecha, then you have a problem.
Now, unfortunately, I did have that in the blue red deck I played with the artifact theme, but I didn't get to copy giant mechs. I
No,
only
they
got to copy twin shot sniper,
oh, that's
the
gross.
like 4 mana 2/3 that when
Shock.
it enters the battlefield it shocks something. And I think I copied the artifact creature that's an ogre that it's a 4/1, and when it comes into play something can't block. So
Oh,
I was either
that's gross.
it came into play, just blew up their board, or blew up the big thing, or just said your thing can't block. That felt great.
Okay, so
That felt great.
I know it's day one, but
Yeah.
what do you think are your secret like, "Oh, I wanna play this every time," so far?
Oh, I want to. I think I honestly, the card that I'm like, nobody's going to pick this. I don't think it's going to get picked super highly, I guess I should say. But like, this is I need to get 7 wins off of, draft chaff.
Mm.
It's got to be the moths, the befriending the moths. Like, it sent for so much damage, and being able to just like catapult over like big on color white things like that 4/4 vigilance common, the
Mm,
samurai, or any of the things that wants to attack alone. Now they can attack alone in the air. Um, like
mm.
I ninjutsu out like that 5/5 ninja you were talking about.
Dude,
And
that card has gotten me so many
yeah.
times.
Yeah, it's like a lava axe, but
Yeah,
then it kinda just sits because, at
you're
least
like,
in my experience, there were a lot of ways to make 1/1s or tokens or
yeah,
block in ways that you can not it doesn't feel that bad, but, like, if I get that ninja in, maybe I return the befriending the moths too, clock
mm.
for a bunch of damage, then
Oh,
replay it and
that's
get the ninja in
gross.
the air. It just feels like Old Faithful, you
Yeah,
know?
right?
Like, that's the kinda card where if we were doing paper drafts again, that's a sad statement. But if we were doing paper drafts again, that's the kind of deck where I could ask someone to split in the finals. They'll say yes, and I'll be happy. It's like these cards are good enough to get me to the finals, and I can just go split. And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. It's like, great. Love it. Thank you, mods. Thank you.
I don't know. I think my thus far day one card that I'm just totally in love with has to be High Speed Hoverbike. Just because
Mm,
a flash 2/2 for 2 that comes in, it's flash and flying, mind you, and it turns out flashing in and tapping their thing just is never gets old.
yeah.
Never gets old to me.
Yeah, that's pretty
Oh,
good.
it's like Yeah, go ahead. Do your big old, stack all your counters, get your ginormo thingy, and then right before combat, whoops, tap it out.
Mhm.
And then I can pilot it, and then we can block whatever needs to be blocked. It's good, clean fun.
There's another card that's a common that I didn't play with, but when somebody played it against me, I couldn't help but be like, "Oh, this is gonna kill like, this will catch people off guard." And it's
Mm.
just, it's called Jukai Trainee, I think. It's like a 2 mana 2/2. It's a samurai.
Isn't that
It's
the
in
one
green.
with Bushido?
Yeah. It just has Bushido, effectively, right? It's Bushido without the word Bushido
Mhm.
on it. But like I played against it and I was just like, wow, this isn't a format designed around Bushido.
Oh, no.
Like there's,
No, it isn't.
the numbers don't line up super like naturally. And so I was in a position where I'm like, I have to attack into this. It's the right thing. But also, I feel like this could go horribly wrong,
This is a trap, and you're
or
going to
it
die.
doesn't take much for it to be bad, right? Like
Yes.
I had something in hand that I could react with if it did go bad, but my opponent was already pinched. And I still didn't come out ahead as I had hoped for. Because I just totally bricked on this attack. I'm like, okay, well, this is the right attack, but I am losing a creature here, and they get to keep their trainee.
Right?
And like, if they could have something that I've forgotten, or like it's day one, someone plays like a life gain spell or whatever, and I just die. But it, yeah, that I feel like that one might catch a couple people off guard.
Oh, you know what? 2 cards that I've had both in my deck and against me, and they've done, like, enormous things. One is Golden Tailed Disciple, the enchantment creature Foxmonk 2/3 that's got lifelink.
Yeah.
It's, like, one of the only things that has lifelink, it feels like, in the set, and that card, when you start stacking counters and modifying it, it can get way, way out of control, and then they're just going up by like 5 life a turn or whatever, because
Mhm.
it ties right in with the Seven Tailed Mentor, the 2/3 that's for 4, which is when it enters the battlefield or dies, put a 1/1 counter on target creature or vehicle. I played
Oh.
against a dude who had 4 of these, and they just came out one after another, and suddenly there's this stack of like a 7/6 life
Oh.
linking, you know, and then just like, oh, this is going to be real.
ETBs or
That's
dies.
the thing people miss. It's like, oh, it just comes in and they're like, oh, it dies, gives a counter. Okay, whatever. No, ETB or dies, you get a counter. And
Huh.
that adds up insanely quickly, especially since it's a common if you get a handful of these and you start chaining them into each other. And because we're talking Samurai Town, you just start piling them onto the one thing, go in and hit for a billion. This
Y-
card is going to kill a lot of people.
you can target itself too.
Oh yeah, you can.
And a 3/4 on block seemed pretty strong. I think that's the thing that popped up here for me, is that a 3/4 on attack is okay, but not the end of the world.
Mm.
Um but a 3/4 on block was huge. Like that, I when I played that vehicle, the blue white
Hmm.
vehicle, there were definitely times where, yeah, I was attacking like crazy because my deck was cracked in half. But there were times where I'm just like, you know, if I
Yeah.
just keep this back, what are they doing? Like they're not doing
You
anything.
know what? This set, more than any other set I've had in quite a minute, is like vigilance matters a lot.
Hmm.
Like if you have vigilance in this, you're like living on cloud nine. Your thing is just because you're just going to be able to sit there. Because I don't know how they managed to make these numbers line up, but all of these things feel like they've got way more toughness and power.
And
And yeah,
like, I gotta say, I mean, it when I sit back and say, 3 drafts over 6 hours,
mm,
obviously that factors in all the other clown stuff that goes
yeah,
on
right.
for a stream and day one and whatnot.
Yeah, when
But
people are
like,
playing garbage cards and have no idea, right?
yeah, learning everything. My games didn't feel slow. Nothing
No.
felt slow. Nothing felt like it slogged through. And even when there were not board stalls, but when there were like large board versus large board, it felt like both of us found opportunities to sneak in little bits of damage here and there and then capitalize on that, or try to capitalize on that at some point in the game. And
Yes.
so it felt more deliberate than anything.
Yeah.
And that will speed up as
It
we.
did not feel this did not feel like it's a fast format. It didn't feel like I mean, I had like my red white deck. The
Mhm.
deck topped out at like I had one 5 drop and like 32 drops or whatever. It's
Yeah.
very low to the ground, and if you can get going, you can get going. But I think you're exactly right. This isn't a slow format. It's not a fast format, but it is a deliberate format because
Yeah.
there's a lot of they've brought back a lot of the fun kind of complexity that I like, which is like
Mhm.
not necessarily onboard tricks, but there's just a lot of shenanigans and a lot of like paying attention to card types and to like I
It
don't know. I like this a lot. I'm just
it
having a blast.
it feels kind of like Rise of the Eldrazi, but instead of the walls, they're vehicles. And
Yeah,
like
yeah.
instead of Dawn Glare Invoker, there's interaction.
Well, yeah,
like
because like when I was looking over the set for the first time, when I was just going my card by card, I saw I'm
Mhm.
like, oh, these things have like activation 6 mana, activation 4 mana, and tap. I'm like, how slow do they think this format is if they're like giving me a bunch of like 6 mana activation? Turns out it's slow enough for you to be able to get away with that. Like
Yeah.
that stupid card that makes three 2/2 samurais for like 6 mana.
And you scry. Yeah.
Hella playable.
Yeah.
Absolutely playable.
Yeah. I feel like we've received something like that before. Not cat there was Captain's Call that makes soldiers, but those are
Yeah.
one ones. Was there an Eldrazi or not
There was
Eldrazi,
one
a
in
Zendikar one?
there was
Like
a
a six.
vampire one. I think it was in Ixalan, wasn't there?
Well, that's Call of the Feast. That's 4 mana make 3/1/1s. I swear to God, there's like a 6 mana make 2/2 knights.
Yes, yes, there
But
was in
that's
M19 or something like that. It was a one right after Dom
God.
or Eldraine. Was it in Eldraine?
Was it? I don't think I didn't draft that in Eldraine.
No, I drafted a lot of Eldraine, but I don't remember that.
Or there's a cons one that does that. Oh wait, no, that's warrior tokens. We're just going through
You were just
like
playing every
every
token maker.
every version of this card. Um
Look, white gets it a lot, okay? Uh
yeah. And it's not triplicate spirits. Like
no,
I
but
can already smell the comments.
love me a triplicate spirit, so
Mhm.
um God, I love that format. M15, love that format. Let's see. Was not
I couldn't find it when I searched for it, so maybe I just made up this card. But it feels
I feel like there
like
was a card that made 3/2/2s.
yeah, that is that
Was it
that's a
Bears?
it's not Night Watch. There's the point being that that's a card where I look at it and I'm like, that's 6 mana. That's a sorcery, but it's 3 bodies with a relevant keyword, right? And then you
Mhm.
get the scry 3. Like 3 bodies, they all have vigilance, which is scary for this format for sure. And then scry 3, basically guaranteeing that you will also get something next turn, potentially something to take advantage of the 3 bodies you now have. Like that's a card I
Okay,
also
so I
want
just
to
went and
explore.
looked, and
Mhm.
I think this might actually be the only one. SRAM makes 3/1/1s,
Yeah.
and then
This is wild. I could
let's
see.
see. There's Captain's Call is 3/1/1s.
Yeah.
Battle Screech is 3/1/1s.
Yeah.
Uh, Righteous Confluence makes 3/2/2s if you choose
Mhm.
them, but that doesn't count. Triplicates make 3/1/1s. Timely Reinforcement 3/1. Yeah, no, they're all 3/1/1s. This is the
Oh
first
my god.
3/2/2s.
I have this art in my head and I can't it doesn't exist. Oh my god. I think I might actually just be thinking about Take Up Arms. The one from Cons that makes 3 warriors at instant speed. But that's not even the
Cloud
card
Goat
that I
Ranger. No.
no, I'd know the goat.
Yeah, of course you would.
So
Uh,
this card doesn't exist.
what I'm saying is it should.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take Up
Exactly.
Arms is in Battle Bond and Cons. It makes
Mhm.
3/1/1 white tokers.
Yeah.
Tokers, white warriors.
Oh.
Oh, here we go. Waylay from Ursa's Saga. Trade
Oh,
3 night tokens into play. Treat these as 2/2 white creatures. Remove them from the game at the end of turn.
you mean White Lightning? Are you familiar with the story behind this card?
No, I am not.
So like I mean, this is also secondhand because I this is the story that got passed down to me from
the,
the old bloods at
the
the
elders.
LGS. Yeah, sitting me down, going, "Come, little one, put the basking root walrus aside. We've got." It basically, like, back in the day, the timing on this card was that you could play this and then untap with the tokens and hit for 6, and then you have to get rid of them. Like, you would do it end of turn or something like that.
Mm,
And you would pay 3 mana, get 3 tokens with power 6 total, and hit them, and you lose it. So it's like ball lightning. So it was
mm.
like a white lightning. Um, and I think they changed, like, yeah, I'm looking at the card and it's been errated to the most wild wording. On the card, it says you put 3 night tokens into play, but then you remove them from the game at end of turn.
Mhm.
But the errata says exile them at the beginning of the next cleanup step. So,
Okay.
yeah, I
Today in
guess,
learning about steps,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
let's see. In old Kamigawa, there was Feral Lightning, which is
Oh,
3 and 3 red for a 2
mm-hmm.
3 3/1 red elementals with haste.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Feral Incarnation in M15 gave you 3/3 beasts.
Can I talk about Feral Lightning really quick?
Hit me.
So it's Saviors of Kamigawa Uncommon, right? Beautiful art.
Yes.
And when you look at these kind of cards, maybe it's just me, and especially from that era. Old Kamigawa is classic for this. They will deceive you with, like, you look at them, and we just got Spark Elemental. I want to remind everyone. We got Spark Elemental from Fifth Dawn, which was a 1 mana 3/1 that you had trample haste and you sacked it at the end of turn.
Mhm.
Um, and then we get this card that, oh, it makes 3 spark elementals. Cool. No, no. These don't have trample.
No, they don't.
And you don't sacrifice them, you exile them.
Yes, you
So they don't hit the graveyard.
do.
they don't they don't get sacrificed. Like, they don't, it's, oh god.
This card
Why do I
sucks.
love Kamigawa
It's
so
so
much?
bad.
This
Well, it's
card
like,
is
look, my
bad.
favorite card, Jedit Ojanen, is a
Oh
7
yeah.
mana 5/5 vanilla. It's one of the worst cards ever
Mhm.
printed, and I
Congrats,
don't
by the way.
oh my god.
Yeah,
It was the greatest
congrats.
day of my life waking up to that.
Yeah.
Uh, dude, I've gotta have some kind of record for most cards gotten from a dude straight outside of WotC.
Yeah.
'Cause I got my Findhorn, I got New Art Terramorphic, and then I got a friggin'
Mhm.
28 years between printings of Jedit Ojanen.
That's wild.
Gavin Verhey was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I went to the guys and we were talking about the promos to do, and they were like, 'You wanna do what now?' Jedit
Hey,
Ojanen?
Year of the Tiger, right?
Year of the Tiger, that's a
Yeah,
perfect tiger."
makes sense. I
Let's
mean, we
see.
already had Year of the Stang Twin. So, yeah,
No
and they can't do
Sunshine
Year of the
State.
Gwendolyn DeCourcy anymore, so
Boy, howdy, can't they?
yeah.
I'm definitely not looking for the year of Lady Orca, let's say.
Oh, love a good Lady Orca. We should do an episode where we talk about Legends one of these days.
Legends is such a
Yeah,
look,
love
I
it to
love
bits.
Legends. I
Love
love
it to
Legends,
bits.
but God, it's a terrible set.
It was one of the first. It was what the I think it was the first set. I may have got it before. There are a couple sets that I collected full sets of, and then I stopped because I'm like, I can't do this.
No.
I don't need like multiple copies of like Sarah Angel where every one is like $80 or
You're right.
whatever. Um, and it was either P3K or Legends that I got a full set of before as my
Jeez.
first one. But like, it's so cool.
It's
Like,
so cool.
everything, I mean, obviously the legendary creatures are pretty cool and good and
Look,
important.
Legends was mechanically awful, but it
Mhm.
did one very important thing, which is back when Magic desperately needed people to come in and play and learn it, it was
Mhm.
so evocative and
Yeah.
so just pumped your imagination. You look at these cards and you're like, this is the coolest goddamn thing I've ever seen. I need to know who Adden Oakenshield is. I need to
Yeah.
know what Axelrod Gunnarson's deal is. Like Jedit Ojana is this big giant tiger man with a sword, and you're like,
Yeah.
whatever his game is, I want in on that.
Yeah. They're just like, okay, people like this game, but then like they're fading. We need something to really sink our teeth in and make sure that they won't leave. We need something impactful, something beautiful, something brutal. Then you just hear this guitar riff, and down from the heavens descends
Oh,
RKF, Richard Kane, Ferguson,
dude,
baby, coming in with Nebuchadnezzar and
Solkanar the Swamp King,
oh,
Dak
Swamp
and
King.
Blackblade. Look,
Woo!
I guarantee you, Dak and Blackblade and Solkanar the Swamp King are responsible for more people coming to Magic than like any other card.
It got.
Because
I mean, it Solkanar hooked me.
yeah, hooked. I mean, look, dude,
Yeah,
even Chromium. Chromium is one of the coolest friggin' dragons ever. The card sucks. The
yeah,
card is garbage, but it's also one of the best arts in the history of the game.
yeah.
Oh my god.
My cousin
Yeah,
when he
we're
got
definitely talking Legends at some point.
yeah, and this is related to Kamigawa because Legends is a set about legends and Kamigawa is a set about legends, right? Like it all ties together. Um, yeah, my cousin who got me into Magic, when we were first playing, he would lend me. We only had his decks to play with, and so he would give me his decks. And he had one deck that he would not lend me, and it was his Solkanar deck. And this is just like this isn't Commander. This is 60 card unsleeved
Oh,
kitchen table,
the
and
way God intended.
he had two Legend Solkanars, and it was so bad. Like thinking back on it, like that deck was terrible. It was. I mean, some cards were good. The Solkanars, the control magics, the counter spells, good. The Kyron Sniper, which is like a 3-mana 1/1 goblin that at the beginning of your upkeep you ping an opponent, bad. But like, you needed cards to flesh out for Solkanar. And I remember he wouldn't let me borrow it. And so that was like on my list of like, okay, I need to get a Solkanar. I need to
Yeah.
get a Solkanar. And then, I mean, couldn't get a Solkanar right away, but then I got a Dakon Blackblade. And then,
Jackie
well,
B though,
I was like, oh,
that's a
this is
card,
bigger.
man.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, can we talk about how much Legends hated walls for some reason?
Oh,
Like,
the
boy, there are glyphs all over the place. Like, how many walls did they think were going to be in play? We need.
the
Oh,
importance of walls in early Magic is really interesting to me. And I wish there was like a concise, like, somebody sits down the old design teams
it just says, why do you hate
and
walls?
just like, let's talk walls. I want to know how important you thought they would be, why you thought they'd be so important, and then like,
Why are there so many?
yeah,
Like
cuz
tunnel
like,
or glyph of destruction is the one that gets me. It's target wall
yeah.
gains plus 10 plus O and blocking. Any damage to target wall is reduced to 0, and then destroy the wall at the end of turn anyways.
Yeah.
Why are you reducing the damage to 0 if you're just going to kill the wall?
Oh, that's so good.
It's such a it's such a heinous ass card.
Yeah, and it's a part of a cycle.
Oh yeah, the glyphs are just like there was
Yep.
so much. There was so
Yeah.
much.
The glyphs, the laces,
The tackle maggots.
the
Oh,
Barbary apes.
oh god. So now that we're talking about legends, that's how we know that our time in Neo Kamigawa has come to an end.
I mean, we could talk more Kamigawa, but honestly, I think and not to speak for both of us, it's at the point where we just want to play more
Yeah, like we
Kamigawa.
need to play more and then we'll talk more later. But I think I was just like, I got to talk to you when it's fresh because
Yeah.
this set is hot and we're having such a blast with it. And I just want to capture that moment.
Before we go, I do want to. This is kind of a plug, but also a cool thing I got to do. I did play one sealed,
Mm,
and that was the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty pre-release that we did for Loading Ready Run.
hmm
Uh, and before the pre-releases, I try to always just play kind of a goofy deck. Like I try to have fun, right? Um, I don't like hamstring myself intentionally by any means,
mm.
but I will. Like I opened 2 copies of Oni Cult Anvil, that artifact that I was talking about that is busted.
Yes.
That probably wouldn't make the best TV, and I don't know if I would entirely enjoy playing that as well. So instead, I built a Bant deck that had the Tanukis that you
Mm.
channel to rampant growth. It had the Samurai that you channel to effectively plane cycle. And like other enchantment based ramp. Like I had the restoration of a Gonjo, the like rare saga that you tutor up a planes and then you can bring back a permanent with two or fewer CMC mana value, I guess. But it was all coming together to then cast Brilliant Restoration, which is the 7 mana bring all artifacts and enchantments from my graveyard back to play. I just wanted to play a gigantic replenish or like one-sided open the vaults.
Oh,
And I got to do that, and that felt great. That was so much fun.
okay. Before we go, I need to share one thing though. Someone just linked this to me literally right now. Um, it's on Magic Reddit. It's an interesting interaction.
Okay.
You take Mindlink Mech. Mindlink Mech, of course, is the blue vehicle that says it's a 4/3 flyer, and when it becomes crewed for the first time each turn until end of turn, it becomes a copy of target non-legendary creature that crewed it, except it's a 4/3 vehicle flyer. Right?
Yeah.
So it becomes a copy of whatever you crew it with.
Yeah.
Fine, fair, whatever.
Okay.
Okay. So you have six lands in play, and you've got a Mindlink Mech. You crew it with your Scoot Swarm. Then you play a land.
Yeah.
Now, Mr. Mindlink Scoot Swarm up there will make a token copy of itself. That token never turns back into a vehicle. You now have a 4/3 flying Scoot Swarm. Play another land, profit.
Wait, so interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Because it's an artifact creature, and so it doesn't de-artifact itself because it's the crew part that cares about, like, whenever you crew a creature at this vehicle becomes artifact until end of turn. But when you copy it as a Scoot Swarm, it's just a creature. It's never been crewed. So it is now just a 4/3 flyer forever. GG's.
Okay.
Thank
That's
you
standard
to
legal, right?
u/Thurnos for posting this on Reddit. Yeah, this is standard legal. So
All right, brewers.
that is that's making me laugh so hard because I love the idea of just like, whoops, now I've just got a whole crap ton of 4/3 flyers.
Yeah.
GG, buddy.
Yeah, here's my, instead of a swarm of bugs, here's my swarm of mechs.
Scuttles is one of my favorite cards of all time, I think, of the modern day. It is delightful. But Wheeler, if folks wanted to come, oh wait, we should also, I guess, for the people who didn't hear us last time, do you love Magic, Wheeler?
Yeah, I guess. What about you?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. And do you think people would enjoy listening to you and me talk about this kind of thing?
Probably, maybe. Yeah. You know what? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So, coming soon, you guys might want to check out the new podcast, Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic, where you're gonna hear me and Wheeler do this exact shtick for every set in the game.
Yeah, except it's a little more on rails.
Yes, because we have a plan.
Yeah, so like if we start talking about Kamigawa, we won't end on legends. You know?
Oh, it's gonna be a fun time. All right, buddy. Thank you so much for joining me. If folks wanted to find you, if you wanted to see Wheeler stream like I do every day, where can they go?
You can find me at twitch.tv/Benjamin_Wheeler. Or you can follow me on Twitter at bwheelermtg. And then
I encourage both things.
Yeah, if I'm not there, you could also check out Loading Ready Run.
Yeah.
Twitch.tv or the YouTube.
I've been noticing your Sunday streams where you sit and like play weirdo card games.
Oh yeah, I should probably plug that too. I do a show on Loading Ready Run called Is This Your Card? Where I try different card games. Like every month I play a new card game. Or I play a different card game. Let's put it that way, because I've revisited some and will revisit others. And then the term card game is extremely loose because I played Storybook Brawl, which I loved, which is not really cards. I played Slay the Spire, which I guess is cards, but also You know, it started to include like auto battlers.
Yeah,
I'm
I
playing
wonder if we can get you on
Inscription
playing
right
like
now.
we should see if you can play Dominion or something. Like find some of those old board games on.
Ooh, Ascension, Chronicle of the
Mm,
Godslayer.
there we go.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh,
Um,
you know what you need to do? Did you ever play? There was on Xbox. Oh god, what the hell was that card game called? It was like a board game
Magic
slash
Battlegrounds.
no, Concept. Have you ever played Concept?
No, God,
Oh my
no.
god.
Called
Concept
Sep?
Saga, CULDCEPT, Concept Saga was put out on the Xbox 360. It's fantastic. Basically, what it is, it's like sort of like Monopoly. You've got this game board where you're rolling dice and moving around, and when you
Uh-huh.
land on these squares are claimed by summoning creatures, and you can challenge those creatures with one of your own, and then your cards fight against theirs. You're trying to basically claim the spaces on this territory with the deck you've built. So it's a pseudo board game, card game, fantasy tactics game. It
That
is.
might be a little out of the like, I don't even know if I can lie about that being on theme. Like, I
It's a collectible card game. You catch cards. All the battles
yeah,
are played through cards.
yeah, but like, there's a game called Baton Kaitos that uses
Yes.
cards. I've thought about maybe playing that as a joke. But I think the closest like not cards maybe uses cards is if I play like the Yu-Gi-Oh racing game. Where you do play, it's basically Mario Kart, but instead of items, you play a match of Yu-Gi-Oh. It's wild. It's one of the worst things I've ever played, and also some of the most fun I've ever had playing like a game.
I'm just
It's
telling you, man, you can probably
yeah,
get Cult Up Saga in like a GameStop for like $3 now.
yeah.
It was actively fun.
Could be
Uh,
the number one Coldcept streamer on Twitch.
you know what,
You
man?
know,
Like,
tough market.
I'm trying to think, when was the last Cult? Let's see, because the series started on the Saturn of all things, and then it was on the
Mhm.
DS, and then it was on
There was one on the 3DS, and there
yes,
was one. Yeah, the
yeah,
last one was the 3DS.
yeah, because of it's been a minute,
Cold
but
Sep Revolt.
I'm just saying it was a hella fun game worth your time. But like I God, even in even in the going away part, I got
Yeah,
derailed. Okay. Anyways, Wheeler, follow Wheeler. You can also
yeah.
follow me at Gear Upward Gears. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold, or at Cool Stuff Inc. or at YouTube. And remember, my friends, it is not magic without the gathering, and we will see you next time.